Welcome back to General Hospital News, which is the latest news. Has Max Scorpio become boring, or has his storyline not as interesting as before? Perhaps GH is not using the full potential of this legendary character? Hard to say. It's also undeniable that the Mac is still very charming, smart, and a good detective. He just needs a newer chapter. Kevin Collins had a pretty interesting story last year when his brother arrested him, locked him in a psychiatric ward and then paraded around like him. With that said, while Ryan is the evil twins, Kevin is definitely boring, which makes this dynamic watch an interesting watch. Kevin would be boring if he didn't have his serial killer twins running around, but maybe that's a good thing. While talking about this topic, is Lulu bored with Dustin? Flock of feathers together. All the jokes aside, Lulu Spencer kept an eye on her. She is a sniper and that's why fans adore her so much. But lately, she's bored. Can Dante's return help fix that? Handsome guys are great, but there's a reason they end up in the land of soap. Too bad, but sometimes the handsome guys in Port Charles are also bored. That is the case with Dustin. It's horrible to say this truth, Dustin Phillips is boring. Plus, he's not Dante. Like Monica, Bobby lives a pretty normal life. She has faced losing a child, struggling with marriage, adopting a child, not to mention her years as a prostitute, and the emotional and physical abuse she endured as a child. Small. She may have a boring storyline now, but this character has gone through a lot. What could she do now more than pass on her wisdom to her children and granddaughter? Monica is a legendary GH character who did a lot in the soap play. In fact, coming up with new and different storylines for Monica every year is difficult. She is battling breast cancer, problems and the passing of her beloved husband. It's hard to tell some of the storylines she's gone through. Elizabeth is definitely a favorite, however, she has become extremely boring over the years. Could it be her conspiracy? Married to Franco? She is a mother and a nurse, with many responsibilities in raising 3 boys. How excited could she be at this point? Still, she's still a fan favorite, so hopefully the writers can come up with something more creative for her. The epic version of James Franco has grown tremendously over the years. How do you go from a rich, dynamic, and eccentric artist haunted by Jason Morgan to a tamed art therapist who can't make a living day by day? Must love the land of soap operas. For starters, everyone loves and trusts Franco. He was a shadow of himself before. When Dev appeared in Port Charles, this character had a lot of promise. He has a history with Sonny, and the little lie they put out to keep the youngster in town is very interesting. So, try to keep that lie hidden from everyone. Since then, things have been downhill for Dev. He doesn't stand out at all like Jocelyn, and aside from being the 4th driver for the town's teenage scene, he doesn't have a lot of conspiracy. Jasper Jacks is a legend of the Port Charles land. He used to be a real player but has dropped significantly since his return to GH in 2019. He remains a standout figure in the plot and has a bit of romance with Nina. However, he is not nearly as excited as before. Speaking of which, people cannot help wondering where is Christina these days? She didn't attend the Corinthus family funeral for Mike, and since after the Shiloh plot, she wasn't involved much. Christina has done some interesting things over the years, but it looks like the wages at Port Charles are very low at the end of the year. Maybe a new or emotional storyline is what the doctor requested. Alexis still has a lot of hands-on when it comes to the GH storyline. She is linked with Jason and Sam, Sonny, and her daughter Molly. Plus, she remains very connected with many of her former lovers. Despite some interesting storylines, Alexis has become a bit boring over the years. Perhaps a fresh chapter was what she needed. Remember to come back often so you don't miss the latest news. Goodbye.